Welcome back to Solo TV 84, and to newcomers, I'm your gracious host, Solomon Jones. Today we're going to do a quick deep dive into a topic that truly matters, that gets often ignored or overlooked. We're shedding light on an alarming issue, which is the rise of loneliness experienced by men. Did you know that approximately 60% of men are single? This staggering number reveals not only the challenges men face in relationships, but also the profound impact it has on their mental health and overall well-being. In a world increasingly addicted to social media, finding ways to combat loneliness has become more critical than ever. So today I'm going to talk about some of the causes, the root causes of it, and also how to break free from isolation that plagues men today. Now, loneliness affects people from all walks of life, but it appears to have more pronounced impact on men. Societal expectations and stereotypes can create barriers to forming meaningful connections. Men are often taught to suppress their emotions, leading to difficulties in expressing vulnerability and seeking support. This can result in a sense of isolation and contribute to the high percentage of single men and also to the rise of men who are self-deleting themselves. Loneliness isn't just a fleeting emotion, it can have severe consequences on mental health. Research indicates that prolonged isolation can lead to depression, anxiety, and even higher self-deletion rates among men. In fact, one man or male dies by self-deletion every 13.7 minutes in the USA, and there are 3.9 men self-deletion rates for every female or woman, okay? Now, the gravity of these statistics emphasizes urgent need of addressing the issue of male loneliness. Now, what are some of the causes of male loneliness or loneliness in men? Well, I would say number one is the influence of society and social media. In today's digitally connected world, social media has become a double-edged sword. On one hand, it offers opportunity for virtual connections, but on the other hand, it can perpetuate feelings of loneliness, isolation, and also comparing yourself to unrealistic standards that has been placed upon men in modern day society. Now, constant exposure to carefully curated highlight reels and a constant fear of missing out, known as FOMO, can intensify feelings of inadequacy, making it difficult for men to form connections and increasing loneliness. Another thing that has increased loneliness is the C-19 situation. A lot of people are now working from home, and that is men included. You have men that can go days or even weeks without having to see anybody. We live in an era now where you can get everything delivered to you. Need some food? DoorDash's got it. Get a new light bulb? Amazon's got it. We live in an easy era, or what people deem to be easy, because you can get everything at a click from your fingertips. In a desperate search for connection, companionship, and affection, some modern men are turning to AI companions or virtual girlfriends or OnlyFans, okay, as a means of filling the void of loneliness. While these AI companions can provide temporary companionship, they're not substitutes for real human connection. Similarly, the rise of platforms like OnlyFans, where men pay for access to intimate content, highlights the lengths individuals may go in order to combat loneliness and experience affection. Contrary to society's beliefs, not every man wants to pump and dump, meaning have sex with a woman, discard her, and toss her to the side of the road. A lot of men actually want to have one woman that will give them companionship, affection, and yes, including physical intimacy, aka sex. However, when you deal with AI companions or OnlyFans, you're only dealing with women, particularly on OnlyFans, that are looking at you as a sucker or a mark. It's transactional. Same with the AI relationships. It's transactional. Heck, with half of these AI companions, you might be dealing with an app that was created by a man. And once again, this fails to address the underlying issue, the need for men to have genuine emotional connections, affection, and companionship. Now, these are topics that if men talk about, you're considered lame or you're considered a flamingo. Once again, in Solo TV 84, we talk about these type of issues because this is very important and that's why we're addressing it. Men's depression often manifests itself differently than in women, which can make it harder to detect. Men may exhibit symptoms such as irritability, anger, and aggression rather than openly expressing sadness. Societal expectations of masculinity is hypocrisy. Let me explain. If you open yourself up by being vulnerable, by being genuine, by being sincere, and talk about your feelings, you're considered soft. You're considered beta. However, if you don't display these type of things and you display hypermasculinity and aggression, then you're deemed as toxic, okay? Now, when you look at this type of hypocrisy, it causes a lot of confusion and also disingenuousness. And if you're a man, it causes a lot of resentment in you because of the fact that you see how society likes to placate or confuse men and women with this double standard. If you show your feelings, once again, like I said, you're beta. This is why you have seen a rise in men learning how to be alpha, wanting to be high-value men. The reality is men want to succeed. Men want to be acknowledged. Men want to have companionship by women. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's truly nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, it's healthy. Since the beginning of time, men have always wanted to succeed and be acknowledged. However, we live in a time and era now where men's emotions and what men think is being disregarded. And when men open themselves up and express how they feel, well, once again, as I mentioned before, we're deemed as toxic. So how do we overcome the stigma associated with mental health? Well, it's crucial in addressing men's depression, as I mentioned before. So I say by fostering open conversations, we can create safe spaces where men can feel comfortable in sharing their struggle and seeking support. But the most important part is creating safe spaces where men don't feel judged by being vulnerable, by being open, by being genuine and sincere. Breaking the silence surrounding mental health is a collective responsibility that requires empathy, understanding, and most importantly, destigmatization, okay? So I'm not a doctor or a psychologist. I'm just a regular guy, just like you guys, okay? I just happen to have a microphone and I happen to make YouTube videos. But as a guy who has dealt with seasonal affective disorder, which is a form of depression where you don't get enough sunlight during the wintertime, you feel down, you feel moody. A lot of my audience, you probably notice, wintertime, my videos tend to be a lot more negative. This is why I take long subsequent breaks off of YouTube. Summertime, you may notice that my videos, I tend to be more happier. Why is that? While I'm outside, it's sunny. I'm getting vitamin D from the sun, okay? My advice would be for men, if you need help, seek professional help, seek therapy, okay? Don't hesitate to reach out to mental health professionals who can provide guidance, therapy, and support tailored to your needs. Build a support network. This often doesn't get talked about enough. Cultivate meaningful relationships with friend and family members. This is one of the reasons why I advocate that men should have social circles. Now, if you have a social circle that doesn't have women in it, okay, cool. But surround yourself by men who are men of that you want to embody. Men that have, for example, that are high in moral character, that have integrity, men that have honor. I know in 2023, it's very, very hard to find these men. As a YouTuber, a lot of people don't relate to YouTube or what I do. So it's very hard to meet people who can relate to me. So I made friends with some YouTubers just to realize that a lot of the YouTubers were frauds and phonies who only cared about fleecing men also known as grifting, for monetary gain. Once I realized that, I removed myself from certain spaces and decided to create my own space. Having meaningful relationships where you can be open and vulnerable with other men where they won't judge you is very important. And once again, I know people will roll their eyes at this, but this has to be talked about. Practice self-care. This is another thing. Prioritize your mental health. If you're in a negative situation, remove yourself. So for example, you're dealing with stress at the workplace, try to take a vacation. If you're dealing with toxic or negative friends, remove yourself. Your emotional, mental, and physical well-being is very important. Engage in hobbies, exercise regularly. One thing I like to do is, I like to take walks, okay? That's very important. Enjoy nature. You guys have seen me do this when I do my lake series. Taking a walk allows me to mentally think about things that are going on in my life, but also think about solutions and come up with things, creative ideas that I hadn't thought about before. Because when I also got ADHD. I mean, that's not a secret. But also walking allows me to really be creative, okay? Another thing is challenge societal expectations. And this is one of the things that I've been doing since I was 5 years old. And this is why, if you're watching this, you're a trendsetter. Break free from rigid norms that say that you as a man are soft if you are vulnerable. Break free from these thoughts or that society tries to placate on you on what a high value man is or what an alpha man is. A lot of men are drinking the Kool-Aid and they're sinking deeper into depression. For example, you're a 21-year-old kid, you're in college, you flat broke. How are you a high value man if you don't meet the criteria that society tries to impose on you? You know what? I would say if you're a 21-year-old man in college, you're working towards getting your degree, you're working out, you're social, then you're a high-value man in that instance. If you are a young man or an old man who follows the decrees of God, you read the Bible, you try to improve yourself spiritually by having a personal relationship with the Creator, aka Jesus Christ, then in my opinion, you are a high-value man. However, we live in such a superficial society that deems you're not a high-value man unless you make X amount of money, you have X amount of connections, and a lot of superficial things that really don't mean anything. You're just placating, once again, or you're trying to appease to societal standards instead of your own standard. Remember, you are not alone in your struggle. By addressing the loneliness epidemic in men and promoting mental well-being, we can create a society where men feel empowered to seek help and build genuine connections. Let's prioritize sincerity, empathy, compassion, and understanding in our journey towards healthier and a better world. As men, times are tough right now. And unfortunately, times are only going to get tougher due to inflation, housing market crisis, high debt, well, that's still part of inflation, along with the rise of AI. Thank you for joining me today as we explored the profound impact of loneliness and depression on men. By understanding the statistics, breaking the stigma, and taking proactive steps to prioritize mental health, spiritual health, as well as physical health, we can pave the way for a brighter future. If you found this episode informative, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. God bless you, and I'm out. Peace.